Hi, I'm Maelia Salcines, Miss Heart of Texas, USA, and this is my interview with the Pageant Project.
Hey everyone, it's Adrian from the Pageant Project with you, and my special guest for today is Maelia Salcines, who is Miss Heart of Texas, USA. Maelia, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited.
It's a pleasure. Have you ever done much like this before? I mean, you did the intro so flawlessly. It sounds like you've done some sort of broadcasting.
Yeah, I kind of do some podcasts here and there and some interviews, so I think I've gotten the gist of it already.
Very, very smooth, like a professional. Now, Maelia, apart from the pageantry, there's a whole list of other things that I wrote in the description to the interview. You are the founder/co-founder of Mental Monarchs,
Correct.
which is a mental health organization, and also a co-author with your mother, I believe, of a mental health book, which I just have here. This is why I'm looking over here. Forgive me. You Can Do It Chickadee. I do love that name. That's an awesome name for a book. But to get started, let's start with the easy question. How did you get involved in the crazy world of pageantry to begin with?
I would have never thought I'd be in pageants, not gonna lie. Years ago when I was in high school, I was like, I would never do a pageant. And then fast forward to 2019, I decided to embark on something that took myself out of a comfort zone, and I ended up loving it. I think the main thing I got from it was that you can use your voice and use it with a purpose and help other people in whatever way or whatever they're going through, and help, like, let them know that it's okay not to be okay, and you will overcome whatever you're going through, because I know we all have issues. It doesn't have to be mental illness, it can be anything else. So I just realized, like, it's actually a really good place to reach other people with the message that you have. And I was surprised coming into that, because my onstage question for my first pageant was, what was your greatest accomplishment? And I had finally shared, I said, overcoming my anxiety and depression. And the amount of people who were like, me too, I went through this and that, or something similar to you have, I was like really shocked, because I had known these people forever and they had never spoken about it like myself. So I feel that once I did start to do that, it started helping more people feel more comfortable about speaking up about it and getting the help that they need.
When you answered that question at the pageant, did that surprise people? Like how public was the knowledge when you said that?
I surprised myself, because I didn't know what the onstage question is. I was like, okay, let's see what's up. And it came out of my mouth. And right after it came out, I was like, I can't believe I just did that. I can't believe I just said that. But the whole audience was like clapping and like wooing. And all my family who actually knew what I was going on, like what was going on in my life, their faces were like, oh my God. Like my mom even got teary eyed. Yeah, it was a really good, we got a huge response. I was actually like impressed, because it was something so personal, and I didn't realize other people were going through it too. So it was really important for me to have shared that, and I'm glad I did.
Well, it's something that we actually have in common, because I was just doing my research and I was thinking of this when I read that, because I read somewhere that was kind of the first time that you'd said that publicly.
Yeah.
That poster that you see behind me, that's a book that I wrote about mental health. This is back in late 2017. And the first thing I wrote in the introduction was, because I had battled with suicide twice, very bad depression. And I wrote, it's a funny thing, contemplating taking your own life. And you said that publicly, I guess, for the first time. That was the first time I kind of went public about that, was in the introduction to a book, which went on to be a bestseller. And a lot of people resonated with that. And a lot of people came forward with their own stories as well. Did you have a similar response, that when you told your story, that it empowered some other people to tell theirs as well?
Yes, definitely. I remember I went on Instagram, because that's when the question things were barely coming on. I think, yeah, 2 years ago, or wait, yeah, 2 years ago. And
Yeah.
I was like, I shared something personal. If you want to share it with me, you can. It'll be no judgment zone. I can share it if you like. If not, that's fine. And I was not expecting, honestly. I was expecting like one answer, probably, but I got like so many answers. And about, I had a miscarriage, or I was contemplating suicide as well.
Mm.
A lot of suicide,
Yeah.
people. And I was actually really surprised. And that's honestly why the conversation came with my best friend, Brooke Williamson, who's the also co-founder with me, Mental Monarchs. And we were like, we need to do something about this. And that's honestly how our nonprofit came to be about, is because we realized how much stigma there was, especially in the
Mm.
location where I'm from, is the Rio Grande Valley of Texas. So it's South Texas. And there was a huge stigma, especially in the Latino communities, on mental illness. And we were like, we need to do something. We need to help. We need to help our community, get the help they need, and also to share with them that it's okay not to be okay, and that
Mm.
there are a lot of issues and a lot of other people that are going through it, similar to you or maybe different, but they're still going through something. And like you said, like, it wasn't until you spoke out that you got that feedback, and it was also helping other people. And I know it's subjects and topics that are very sensitive to talk about, and a lot of
Yeah.
people don't want to talk about it because of how sensitive it is. But that's why we need to talk about it, because
Hmm.
this is a very serious issue. And if you don't take care of it, when you first start to see the signs, or even when you feel really bad, it could end up, causing your life.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that it's obviously a sensitive topic. Anyone who knows anything about mental health or has experienced any issues with it knows that. But I do think we need to discuss it. I went into a girls' school once, and I was talking about some of my struggles, and the teachers didn't really want me to talk about it because they felt that talking to the girls about it was going to be too triggering. Whereas I mean, the girls' response was very different, which I thought was interesting. The girls loved that I had started the conversation, whereas a lot of the teachers would have gone like, "Oh no, you can't bring it up; it's too sensitive." But I think if we don't discuss mental health, and I don't know if you agree with me on this or not, I think if we don't discuss it, it's not going to make it better. It's going to
No,
make it worse.
you're causing more harm than by not speaking up and sharing about anyone's experiences. It doesn't have to be yours, just sharing a story, sharing an article, sharing little things. It just opens those conversations.
Exactly. Now, I've never been to Texas. It is on my list of places to visit
There's a lot of
once.
places here in Texas. You'd probably have to make like a month visit.
Well, I'm planning on going around in a van, like taking like a decked out van and just going for a road trip around America once this whole worldwide pandemic is
Right.
finished. So I'll make sure to spend some time in Texas. You did mention that in the particular community that you are, there's a particular stigma with mental health, and in the Latino community in particular. In Australia, I like to think that we're moving the mental health conversation pretty well. It always could be better, but pretty well. Every time I've interviewed with people in the UK or Ireland, it seems like they're a little bit behind. In the particular local community that you're at, where is that conversation? Is it just beginning? Is it beginning to move? Does it need to move faster? Where are you guys at?
I feel like people are starting to see that there is an issue down here and it needs to be talked about. Because in the Latino community, especially if you're a boy or a man, it's like, suck it up. You're a man.
Mm.
That machismo and all that, energy and all that stuff. So you're expected to hide it, push it under the rug. And I think now, as we're having more conversations and people are starting to realize, well, there are resources I can utilize here, and things I can do to help myself. I think it's starting to get better. And I think the high schools are actually, McAllen ISD, I know for sure, is doing a really good job with implementing more mental health initiatives. The other day, I just went to a mental health day. It was like a little day event where they had a lot of high school kids from the age 15 to 18 talk about
Hmm.
their experiences with contemplating suicide and self mutilation. And it was very touching because that's when I was going through everything that I went through, and I had no one. I couldn't even talk about that. To
Mm.
admit that I was cutting myself, like, I didn't even admit that till even after spoke about my
Yeah.
mental health journey.
Yeah.
Was and to hear these kids sharing these stories, I just I applaud them because that's exactly what I needed, and they're going in that right direction, and they're going in that right path, and I see it becoming a really big thing, and the more, schools get involved, because
Mm.
you spend like 7 hours a day at school. The more schools
Mm.
get involved and really help the kids out and, tell them it's okay not to be okay. We have the help that you need. If don't hesitate to ask. I think the more we'll start to see it become less stigmatized and more talked about.
I am glad that you brought up the topic of cutting. I did see that you'd written that in your book review, that was on, I believe, on the Mental Monarchs site. You mentioned that before. I dealt with a young woman I was tennis coaching who was cutting. As a tennis coach, I didn't feel comfortable bringing it up. That wasn't my role, although I did mention it to her parents, and you could just see what looked like razor cuts, but they were all parallel to one another. I think there's a danger when someone says that people go, it's attention-seeking behavior, and they're very dismissive about it. Now, can I just ask, and I'm aware it's personal, but why why did you do that? What was that about?
And when I try to explain it to people that don't know or haven't experienced it, they kind of don't get it. But when I do explain it to someone who's done it, they totally get it.
Mm.
It makes me feel like, okay, so I did it. I did it because I wanted to feel something. And I know it sounds dumb. It to me, it was because I wanted to feel something. I was going through so much depression. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to act. I didn't know. I just felt like maybe if I did this, I would feel something, and I kept doing it. And I don't
Mm.
understand why I did it. I still can't really explain to you why I did it, but I just know that I would be very embarrassed about it. I would have to wear long sleeves to cheer practice
Yeah.
and cover it up, hide it up because I was very embarrassed. And because of those, attention seeking and all
Yeah.
the labels that you're labeled with. And that's also a main reason why people don't want to talk about it. But honestly, I think I did it because I felt like I needed to do something. I felt nothing and everything at the same time. If that makes any
Yeah.
sense. Because I did have like deep depression going into like in high school. And I just cut because it wasn't that I was trying to commit suicide or anything like that. It was just that I was
Mm.
trying to feel something. And I mean, even to this day, they're reminders, the scars are reminders of everything I've overcome
Wow.
and everything I went through. And now I'm okay talking about it because, like I said, when you don't talk about it, that's the problem. That's where we start getting into let's hide it, let's not talk about it. And as much as it's frustrating having to answer the question every time someone sees my arm, like what happened to your arm, I explain it anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. That opens up a very deep conversation. I think a very confronting conversation for people who are unaware about mental health. But I think it's also an extremely important one. I don't think I could. I've done a lot of work in mental health. Don't get me wrong, and I've had my own struggles. But I make a very big point of not saying I can understand what you felt because I
So,
can't. I
yeah.
haven't. I never cut. Um, just from the point of view of how you moved past that. So you said you were in deep depression. You felt like you didn't feel anything, but it was overwhelming at the same time. So you cut just so you could feel something. How did you well, let's just talk about recovery, because it's one thing to have the bond. There are people going through issues, and I think through 2020 it's gotten worse because so many people were locked inside. There was so much craziness going on. So many people lost their jobs. What were your first steps towards recovery?
Well, thankfully, my parents were by my side and they were like, we got to go see a therapist. So we went to see a
Mm.
therapist and I was with her for a while and then I was prescribed antidepressants. So that really helped me become more sane and also helped with the therapy as well. So that's when I
Mhm.
felt myself getting better. I wasn't cutting anymore after that. But then I went to college and I thought I was okay. I thought I was okay. I was on my own, whatever. Okay, let's wean off a little bit. So I did that and it was good for a while. But then I got into a relationship and that kind of just threw things off. And
Mhm.
there was this one incident that happened and I actually cut myself again. And then it was like, I can't believe I just did that. Like, why am I regressing, going back? And
Mhm.
it made me realize I need to continue taking that medication, continue going to therapy. And it wasn't until, recently, like I would say 2018, 2017, that I started feeling myself getting better. And
Right.
yeah, because I took time after that to really get to know myself and figure out my triggers. That was a huge thing
Mm.
for me. So I took a while to date myself and get to realize my triggers, what isn't good for me, to take a step back before I react. Because sometimes when you have anxiety, you tend to react like real quick. You're like,
Mm.
so, I took a few years, honestly, to really, take time for myself to really get better. And I hadn't done that prior to that because I was always constantly on the go. It was high school, friends,
Yeah.
cheerleading, and then college. You got all these new friends, dorm, new school to adjust to. It was crazy. But no, I'm good. That's not happening anymore. But honestly, what I would recommend is first, if you haven't spoken up about it, speak up about it. Seek the help that you need. There's a lot of resources on even online. You could do online
Yeah.
counseling as well. And don't be afraid to take medication. I know there's still a lot of stigma with medication,
Mm.
and it really is mental health, mental illness. It really is a chemical imbalance in the brain. So of course you're going to need that extra serotonin or whatever you're lacking with that medication.
I, I'm glad you brought that up because I have a friend, a very good friend, I'm not going to disclose her name, who at the moment is battling anxiety and depression. Now, I bad like bouts of panic attack.
Hmm.
Now, I've dealt with depression. I've not ever dealt with anxiety, really. And she's been on medication before. She's since come off it, and now she's thinking about going on it again. Can I just ask? I mean, stigma around cutting is one thing, but the stigma of medication. I would just think if I was in that situation and I had the chance to go on it, the first thing I would have to do is admit that there is a problem. That's what I felt. If I would have to do it, I'm admitting, look, I can't deal with this by myself. I'm going to need help from other professionals and from this medication. But to me, as like an achiever and a leader,
Yeah.
it would almost feel like defeat. And then coming off it and then having to go back on it would feel like what you said, it's regression. Can we have a conversation about the medication? Because it's something that I think is hugely stigmatized, very misunderstood. And so just from your personal journey, what was it like going on the medication in the first place?
Well, I mean, I think since I started taking medication at, I would say 16, 17, I felt like it was just another vitamin I had to take to feel better or
Mm.
to, not be so impulsive or
Yeah.
sad. And for me, I knew I had to do that in order for me to get the help that I need. And it's not just therapy. Some people need a little bit more.
Mm.
But now, now that have talked to some people throughout, my life growing up, I've I've heard a lot of comments like, "You don't need that. You don't need
Mm.
medication." Like, I'm like, "What are you talking about?" I do. I really do. Because once I get off it, like, let's say I skip a day or skip 2 days, I feel the difference. I
Wow.
feel that irritability coming back. I,
Hmm.
and I'm like, this is why I need to take it because even though I'm getting, talking to people, I still need that extra push, that extra sanity. Because if not, I would probably get annoyed at the little things. And
Mm.
that's not something that I want to do. And I know being on that medication is going to help me until I don't need it anymore. And I think, I feel like I'm almost there, but I don't want to stop because I'm doing so good,
Yeah. Yeah.
So And I think that's, that's probably what happened to your friend. And that's what happened to me too. Remember when I was telling you I went to,
Yeah,
did it in
yeah.
the first one, then I was like, okay, maybe not. No, I needed it again. And it didn't feel like defeat. It just made me realize how, not how bad, but just realize that I really did need that medication. Because without it, no, I wouldn't be as sane or as calm. But
It, it,
I have taken other alternatives. I've tried other alternatives like at night when I can't sleep, I use a weighted
mhm,
blanket. That sometimes helps. And then I have taken some CBD tinctures, like you put it under your tongue.
mhm.
That has honestly helped me in the smallest way, but it makes a huge difference, if that makes any sense.
CBD is a very interesting one because obviously the legalities around it in your country,
Yeah.
correct me if I'm wrong, but it's not legal everywhere, or it's just become
CBD
legal?
is legal,
Right.
but the other stuff isn't, of course. In some states, yes, but CBD I think is legal in all 50.
Okay, because in Australia, I believe it's still illegal, or I think you might need a doctor to prescribe it. So it's something over here that a lot of people want to try for a whole list of reasons, but in
Yeah.
Australia, we're unable to get our hands on it. Can you just speak about the importance of? I mean, you're obviously on a journey. It's always a journey. Life is a journey, but the mental health journey, how important it is to walk in lockstep with a mental health care professional, because I think a lot of people want to do it alone. Again, it's that achiever syndrome, and a lot of pageant
Yeah.
competitors are very, a type achiever type. No, I don't need medication. I don't need a therapist. I'm going to do this on my own, which I think is very dangerous. How important has it been to you to get professional help?
I feel that without professional help, honestly, I wouldn't know where I would be today because it's not like I was dreading my therapy appointments when I was younger, but after leaving, I felt
Mm,
so much better. I really did. And I think it's very important to go to a professional because we have so many questions about ourselves, about our why are we like this? Why are we thinking that they can answer those questions and kind of make you feel at ease. Not only that, but they make you realize and internalize things that you probably wouldn't if you didn't go to a
mm,
professional. And so you realize your triggers or, what causes me to react this way. It just makes you realize certain things that you probably wouldn't know how to deal with your mental illness without seeing those people because they have years and years of practice.
mm.
And not only that, but they have clients, and every client is different. Not everyone's different with their experiences with their mental illness. You can have the same, but the experience is still different. So they can always provide another side for you to look at, and more
Yeah,
feedback. I think it's very important to go to a professional, especially if you feel like if you don't, something might happen.
of course. Let's talk about Mental Monarchs for a sec. So when in the timeline, so you had the pageant and you spoke publicly about your struggles. When did Mental Monarchs enter the picture?
So the pageant happened, and then I asked the question on my Instagram, and then I realized how bad it is here.
Mm,
So then me and my best friend, we always talk because she's in the mental health field, and she is getting her license of marriage and family. So she's getting
mhm,
that, and even before that, she was still in school. So we were talking about it. We were like, we need to do something like to help our community, bring it back to the valley because she was in San Antonio at that time, and I was still living here. I'm still living here. Um, and so we decided to do it together, combine my experiences and her knowledge, and help the community and whoever we can reach, honestly. And so we started it as an Instagram, and then we went to a website because we were like, maybe we could do blog posts and stuff. But then life got busy, and fortunately and unfortunately, during COVID, we had a lot of time on our hands.
yeah.
So fortunately, we were able to become an official Texas 501(c)(3). So that happened. And then ever since then, we just started, sharing psychoeducation and doing events here or there. We were going to have a big event, but it got postponed because of the weather here. But we're having a huge mental health festival down here sometime in July. So we're really excited to get, people connected, and we want pop-up shops to come there, and we're gonna have a huge farmers market. So we kind of want to bring the community together as well, and share the the mental health awareness to everyone.
That sounds lovely. And obviously July for you guys is summer. I mean, we're in the
I
middle of winter
know
here.
it's too hot over here.
It's too cold over here. I'll gladly swap places
Yeah,
with you,
I'll
believe
go
me.
ostrich. Australia
Y-
is somewhere I've always wanted to go to. It's gorgeous.
Well,
I
I've never met anyone who came over here from the US who didn't like it. I mean, I did have an American friend who came over here and she couldn't find her American food, which she wasn't happy about that. But the people and the environment,
what
I don't know, you
barbecue?
guys. No, no, some weird there's rather than one type of chips, they would have a
I
hundred
know,
types
yeah,
of
I
chips
know.
where she's from. She's from Florida. I don't know if that makes any
Yeah,
sense,
there's
but
some like different, yeah, like there's like some different chains on different states that like you can only get
yeah,
Whataburger, which is like our like burger fast food chain that we is in here in Texas. But I think they're starting to expand to other states. But it's a huge Texas thing. So if you ever come to Texas, you have to get Whataburger.
water burger.
What a burger!
Oh, okay. I was like water burger. I'm like, why do I
Yeah,
want water in my
yeah,
burgers?
no. What a burger! Yeah, no, it's probably like on every corner if you go or something, but it's delicious. Yeah.
I
So if
had
you
a
you have to go. You go there.
I will do that. I had a young Texan pageant competitor on the podcast, and she was talking about Texan barbecue. So is that she said best barbecue in the world, and I've never had it. So is that a thing as
There's a
well?
lot of good barbecue places here in Texas. So honestly, anywhere you go, it's gonna be amazing. And if you ever come to the south border, you'll find
Hmm.
amazing Mexican food. Amazing. That's where I live. I live like on the border of Texas on the south, and there's amazing, authentic Mexican food here.
I'm getting so hungry right
I
now.
know, I'm
It,
like,
it's
I love tacos. It's Taco Tuesday.
Mexican food is one of those foods I just feel is so wholesome, and it's like a family food. You have a big bowl of it in the middle, and you all dig in. And it's not just the food; it's like a
It's
sense
very
of family. It's
comforting.
like yeah, it makes you really happy. That's what I was going to say. I don't know why, but for some reason, it just makes you happy. So now I think I'll
Exactly.
have Mexican for lunch. Um, with Mental Monarchs, what is the longer term goal? Is it to get into schools? Is it to have more
Well,
festivals?
we definitely want to spread out throughout Texas for sure. We want to have more presentations wherever
Hmm.
we can go, police academies, schools, anywhere. What we would love, 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 love to do is open our own practice where Brooke can, do her thing and I can run
Hmm.
it or yeah, because I'm getting a technology management degree, so that has to do with HR and stuff. So I could run that, and then we could just, help other people and grow that way. So yeah, owning our own practice would be our long-term goal.
That would be amazing.
Yeah.
Let's switch focus to the book. You Can Do It Chickadee. Um, just as a silly question, why? Oh, there you go. The chickadee, is that something that Texans say a lot? Is it something that Americans say a lot? Because I know what it means, but to
No,
have it on the cover of a book is a first time for me.
no. I think chickadee. My mom always says chickadee. Like she always says, and she would always tell me, "You can do it. You can do." Even like we'll have little conversations, and she'll say, "You can do it," and I'm like, this just brings it all full circle. No, but chickadee was just, it was a chicken, so we were like, "You can do it, chickadee." It was just a cute little nickname, and but it's kind of funny because my mom does say she calls me sometimes chickadee, even when I was little. And she would always tell me you can do it. So it kind of just worked out. But yeah, this book was about what I went through as a teen, even though she is a little kid, it's for children. But and
Yeah.
then also with the help of her mom.
So can you walk us, since you have the book there, which is amazing, can you walk us through the creation process, the writing process, the
Yes.
publishing
So
process?
we wrote this book in 2019, and my mom has written a good amount of books before. She's a freelance writer and she does a lot of writing. She's written for Chicken Soup with a Latino Soul and other books like
Oh,
that.
wow.
But so
Mhm.
she's already written books. So she, was like, why don't we write a book together? And I was like, oh my God, yeah, that would be so cool. Like, all right. I just thought it was an idea that she threw there. But no,
Yeah.
it was a real thing. So we were like, okay, let's sit down. I definitely am big on early childhood prevention on mental illness. So I definitely wanted a children's book was perfect.
Mm.
And it's easier to bring up that conversation with a book, and have parents talk to their kids about it. So we wrote it and we contacted a publisher, and they were the ones who helped us with the illustrations and marketing and all that fun stuff. But it happened fairly quickly. And we were actually really surprised, like that it was actually happening. It happened, I guess we've started, I would say like a year and a half it took. So it was pretty good.
Wow.
We're
Okay.
already working on our second one.
Is the second one going to be a children's book as well?
Yes, it's going to be a series. So it's going to follow the You Can Do It series.
Right.
So
And I can see
oh yeah, we have a sticker.
there's a
Yeah, we are part of
what's
the
that?
Mom's Choice Awards. It's an honoring excellence. They do a lot of awards on like family friendly media products or services. So we got an award from that, and we're really happy because now we can put the little labels on all their books. Yeah,
And that's available on Amazon, and I can even
Amazon
get it.
and BarnesandNoble.com.
Right. Amazon's good because I can even get it here in Australia. So I'm going to
Yeah,
assume that you can get it internationally.
even on the back, we wanted to write a little bit on tips and tricks, or not little tips and tricks, but letter to the parents, kind of
Mm.
inform them, like if your kid's going through something, it's okay, like be encouraging, be supportive, and little things they can watch out for. So we definitely wanted to include that in some statistics, just so, the stigma can go away a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the earlier you start the conversation, the better, right?
Exactly. Exactly. And that's
Can
the whole point.
Sure. Can you give us some of the stories or the feedback you've heard from parents who've got the book and read it to their kids?
Yes, I've gotten a lot of, even from my close friends who have kids, that they love the book so much and that they felt that it was very important to bring up the conversation, and this was the perfect way to start talking about it. And just by
Mm.
mentioning like she doesn't feel good, but she has to take like this medicine so she could feel better and stuff like that. So we definitely did talk about medication in this book as well. And we mentioned that Chickadee was a little nervous taking medication because she didn't know how the others, her friends, would react or think about that. So we did mention that, but then Mama says, "Well, you need it to feel better." So yeah, so it's like it was kind of like we did want to bring everything into it, including medication, and even she has a little
Mm.
therapy session here somewhere in the book, but she has a little therapy session, so it also eliminates that stigma on therapy as well.
What was it like working with your mum? I get the sense for you it was great. For some people, if they did that, they would end up killing each other. What was it like
No,
co-authoring a book with your mum?
my mom is like my best friend, so it was kind of frustrating at times because she's a certain type of way. She's a planner. She's like, "Okay, we need to work on this right."
Hmm.
I'm like, "No, like let's chill, let's relax." But other than that, no, it was perfect. It was great. I don't like this was if it wasn't for her, I don't think like any of this would have happened. So I'm really grateful that she thought of the idea and that we actually did it. And now it's a going to be a series.
That's amazing. I can't wait to see how it goes. Hopefully, it'll be like the chicken soup for the soul.
I know. This is a little therapy session. Chickadee with her mom.
I love the illustrations.
Yeah, she did a great job. She's actually from Italy.
Oh
So
wow. Okay.
yeah, her name's Maria Ballarin. So yeah, she's actually from Italy, and yeah, so this book, it was just very important to share because like I said before, I think you need to start those conversations earlier.
Mm.
And especially now that all these kids went through, on the transition to uh, in person learning to online
Yeah.
learning, and everything was virtual. I think they also felt some other type of way than they normally wouldn't. And I feel like a
Yeah.
lot of people think that kids don't have issues or don't have problems and everything's okay. But the fact is that these kids, you see them at school, but their their lifestyle at home can be totally different and can
Mm.
be extremely toxic. And you just never know what anyone's going through. So you can't assume that it's okay, especially with kids.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We just got a comment here from Priscilla Bundino. I hope I pronounced that correctly. My girl using her voice.
Oh,
Go
I
Mai.
love her. She's our new Miss Houston USA.
Oh, well
Yeah.
done, Priscilla.
Yeah, she's amazing. She's doing great things. She just got crowned, I would say not that long ago. of like a few weeks ago. Yeah.
From my understanding, pageants in Texas are huge. Like
Oh,
pageantry in
really?
Texas is bigger than pageantry in
And
this entire country.
since we were talking about how it all started, I always had this thought of pageants being negative and very like
Mm.
catty, and that is not at all the experience I've had at all. Everyone has been so nice, so kind. Honestly, I've made some really good friendships even in the past 2 years, and I was like, wow, I'm so surprised. I mean, I know you can
I
all.
think.
There's always the negative, but I tend to look more towards the positive than
Well,
anything.
I mean, it doesn't matter what industry you go into, you're going to find bad eggs, aren't you?
Even at
But
work, like
well, exactly. But I think the friendships that you make in pageantry are by far and away the best part about pageantry. I mean, forget the title, forget the sash,
yeah,
forget the crown. At the end of
honestly,
the day,
honestly,
you're going to make friends that you can keep with the rest for the rest of your life. That point you make about children is very important as well. I mean, I've worked with children a long time, and I think if you treat them as people rather than it's just a child,
Mhm,
I
exactly.
think it's not too difficult, at least for me, to see sometimes when things are wrong, even if they don't talk about it, because you can see kids are normally, we're supposed to be happy. That's the thing. And if a child is chronically sad or upset or crying, I think it really is on us to ask, is everything okay? Just to
Exactly.
check. Because I did this once again on the tennis court, and to give you an idea, it was a Father's Day. It was on Father's Day, so in theory, there shouldn't have been anyone at my tennis lesson because the school was running a Father's Day breakfast. But I went anyway, just because you never know. And then I had one child turn up, a young boy. So immediately you're thinking, okay, why is this young boy not at Father's Day breakfast? And I asked him, and he said this really thing that still haunts me to this day. It's like, oh, I don't know who my father is. And like, what does that mean? It turns out he was actually adopted, which I had no idea about, which obviously comes with a whole raft of other potential issues.
Was
But
was he adopted like just by a mom or like both? Like
I believe by a mum. I believe by a single mum.
okay,
It's one of those ones that you just need to be careful not to ask too many questions
yeah,
about. At least in my role as a tennis coach. But to
I'm
me, it's
adopted
just,
too, so that's why I'm
oh
asking.
wow,
Yeah,
okay. One of my very good friends in America is also adopted, and she lucked out. She has an amazing family, and kudos to people who adopt.
honestly,
That's something that's very underrated and not spoken about enough. But when it comes to working with kids, just like I don't think it's, and even people, I think most of us can tell when someone is a bit down. I
mhm.
don't. Is that just me? I mean, can you? Is that just something
Well,
that I
I mean,
do?
if you're an empath, then yeah. But
Yeah,
I'm an empath too, and I definitely can tell. Sometimes I can tell when they don't want it to be spoken about, so I just like.
yeah,
But
yeah.
sometimes you can tell that they want you to check up on them.
Yeah, I think sometimes it's important, even if they said they don't
You
want to
gotta see the
talk about it.
time.
Yeah, I mean, you do it in privacy and things like
Of
that. But
course, of course.
sometimes if you're strong and an achiever type, you go, no, I don't want to talk about it. It's all okay. And if you ask enough times, eventually, at least they know you're there.
You break the mold, yeah.
Yeah, you just, keep chipping away, keep chipping away, keep chipping away. Well, look. I love talking about that. That's amazing what you're doing. Outside of all of that, do you have time for anything else? I mean, who is Maelia away from the mental health, away from college, away from writing a series of books? What do you do to de-stress
So
or
I
for
do a
hobbies?
few things to de-stress. I love to garden. I'm a huge gardener. I almost studied horticulture, but I was like, "Ugh, I don't know what I'm going to do with this degree."
Mhm.
But I love gardening. And then I like to take photos of nature. I don't know, I love photography, but I'm more of the nature, birds, and I photograph my plants too in my garden. And then my guilty pleasure is watching all of the Real Housewives.
Oh no.
I know, I know. I just had to throw that in there because honestly, it's just that's what I do. That's what I spend my time on doing. It's either gardening or watching Real Housewives.
I've never watched an episode of Real Housewives. I just from the advertisements, I look at it and go, it's too much drama for me. Like I can't deal with it.
It's
It's too
fun.
intense.
I love it because I'm like, these girls are literally fighting over a dog adoption. I don't know. It's just an example. I just one of the things I can think of. It's like really, but it's funny because then it's entertainment. That's what it is.
It
So
is a form of entertainment. I'll give you that much.
for sure. I also like to play. I don't know. Have you heard of Animal Crossing from on the Nintendo Switch?
Oh, yeah, that was a while ago. That was a
Well,
craze,
yeah,
wasn't
it
it?
was
Like,
a while ago, but I still play that. I love that game. I even used to play it like before it was on the Nintendo Switch, like before it was when I was on the old consoles and stuff. But now they've revamped everything. Like you can connect with your friends, and it's really cool.
it's so weird because I'm in a spot where I want to get a Nintendo Switch because I want to play Mario Kart because my friend has
Oh,
a Nintendo Switch and has Mario Kart on it, and I just want to race all my friends in Mario Kart to show them that I can beat them. I don't know. Do you
I
play
was
Mario Kart?
hard on the Switch. I'm not gonna lie. When I first played, I was like, "Hey, I'm not as good as I thought I was." Like I was so good then, but then you get the hang of it, because then I don't know. But you should definitely get it. It's good, and they also have. I think you can even download like YouTube on there or
Oh
Hulu.
wow, okay.
So you can even use it for that. Because sometimes I do that. I like to watch YouTube videos a lot too.
Animal Crossing. That's one I have to. I've heard about it because one of my podcast co-hosts went
I
crazy
know.
on it. Spent
I
during lockdown.
actually read an article, and I used to read, and I felt like I heard this years ago too, but I read an article this year recently how Animal Crossing can help with mental health because it's more of like a stimulating
Oh,
game. Like it's not like you have to win. There's no winning. There's no end. It's just more like you create your town and you build your town, and it's very.
oh,
I feel
okay.
really at peace. And if you, it's somewhere on there. I can probably send you the link somewhere, but it was a mental health, Animal Crossing affiliated with mental health. It was really interesting because I was like, wow, I do feel a sense of ease and calmness and no anxiety at all.
Yeah,
I'm playing, and then hours go by, and I'm like, oh snap, I need to go to bed.
yeah, I can see that. I understand exactly what you mean. The one that a lot of my friends got into and I got into, somewhat embarrassingly, was The Sims. Have you heard of The Sims?
Oh yes, yes. I got into
Yeah,
that
well,
a little bit, but not crazy into it.
I got into it and made all my Sims pageant girls. So I made my friends into
Oh
pageant
my
girls.
god.
And I don't know if
I'm
this is any
impressed.
indication. I just let them do what they wanted to do. You're supposed in The Sims, you're supposed to tell them what to do. I let them do
Yeah.
whatever they wanted to do. Within the first 5 minutes, one of the girls set the house on fire and burned to death.
I mean,
I
there's
don't, I don't know if that's a sign.
I'm just kidding. Wow, okay. Okay. That's a little intense. You like let them do
It
what they want to do.
it is. That was probably the last time I played The Sims. Gardening. What do you like to garden? Are you gardening for the pretty
Um,
flowers? Are you gardening stuff you can
cactus,
eat? The fruit,
cacti,
vegetables, cacti.
succulents. My favorite is hibiscus. I love hibiscus. And they only bloom for a day. So you get that pretty bloom for just a day and then get a new blooms the next few days. But I like it
My
because
parents.
I love watching my plants grow and grow and grow. Because I've had them since they were in like a pot, and now they're fully on the ground, like doing their thing. So I've loved to see them grow every year. You just kind of
Yeah.
notice it, and you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't even realize how much it's grown.
My parents they used to have a big hibiscus plant out front. So it's one of the plants that I do know about. And they made the mistake of telling me when I was a kid, look at that hibiscus, it's bigger than your face. So, what did I do? I went and, put my face right
Yeah.
into the hibiscus flower and destroyed it. It was like, if you tell a kid it's bigger than their face, what do you think is going to happen?
So,
So,
did you like last Madison, Puerto Rico's hibiscus national costume?
yeah.
That was my favorite national costume of all time. Favorite. I might be a little biased, but I don't care. It was gorgeous. They couldn't have done a better hibiscus. I was so happy.
It's one of the few plants I know. It's hard when you in pageantry and you know as many of the girls as I do and you're friends with some of them, and it's I'm Australian, so I probably should support the Aussie girl, but I'm best friends with Miss Universe Ireland, so I'm like, who do I support? Sometimes it's better just not to say anything, because whichever way you go.
If you don't say it, they're like, oh, well, you don't support her. I was like, well, I never said
Exactly.
that. I never said that either.
No, whichever way you go, you get burned. So sometimes
Honestly,
it's just like, I'm good.
In whatever, it can be politics, it can be anything. There's always going to be someone who's not happy with it. So
yeah, let's not talk about politics. I'd rather talk about Animal Crossing, if that's okay, than politics or anything else. Now, Malia, I always finish interviews with the same 10 questions, but just before we go to the final 10, is there anyone that you want to give a shout out to for supporting you along your journey, pageantry and otherwise?
There's a lot of people. I'll just mention, I'll name my mom, Priscilla, who was on here, Chelsea Morganson, all my Texas Crown Production sister queens and director, and all my friends out there who are watching. But yeah, that's pretty much it. If I had it ready, I would have like a list, but we don't have time for that.
You have your Academy Awards list. When is the actual pageant?
September.
September?
So for Miss, it's prelims the 3rd September, and finals are the 4th. And for teen, I know finals are the 5th.
Okay.
For teen.
That's okay. Just as long as we get a ballpark September.
Is September 3rd and 4th.
How's the prep going? I haven't asked that. How's the preparation going? I mean, it's still a while off.
The prep is going well. I feel like by doing these little interviews, I've gotten better with speaking. And I know I still need work, but that's fine. Like I'm good with that. But the prep has been going very well. From the first year I did Texas, say from this year, I feel like a huge difference. I'm way more prepared and way more confident, I think, because of that, being prepared. I have a really good interview coach, The Queen's Conversation by Jimmy Langhoff. He's been helping me tremendously, and it really makes a difference when you have a really good interview coach. Yeah,
it's something that you guys in America definitely have a lot more of. In places like the UK and Australia, pageant coaching is a much, much smaller industry.
You know what's funny is that he actually lives in Wisconsin, but he coaches me and like other of my sister queens in the same production, Texas Crown Production. So it's kind of funny because he's all the way from Wisconsin, but he's doing he does all over the states, but
okay.
I think it's really cool. Now you can do online.
Well, yeah, the weird thing is you mentioned Wisconsin. That is the one place that I spent quite a lot of time, because I worked for a couple of months in Wisconsin. And I just have to say, the weather in Wisconsin is not like the weather in Texas. When I was in Wisconsin in the middle of the winter, it was like -20 out. It was horrific.
I don't think we've ever reached the negative.
I'd be worried. I mean, you guys get a lot in Texas weather-wise, but I don't think you get -20.
104, those fun weather days.
What's the humidity like? Heat is one thing. Is it humid?
It depends on the area you're at, to be honest with. Because I feel, right now it's been raining, so it's very humid outside. I would say it's not as. Have you been to Florida?
Yeah.
It's not as bad as Florida. But it's not completely dry.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not super dry.
Florida, I liken to trying to swim through a pool whilst you're walking. It's just sometimes, you go for a walk and you come back soaking wet. It's not
I love
pleasant.
Florida, don't get me wrong, but the humidity is just not my favorite.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, let's go through the final 10. This is as pageantesque as we're going to get. It's not a speed round, but if you want to answer them as quickly as you can, then so be it. Question 1, what is your favorite word?
My favorite word. I feel like I have a few, but my favorite word would probably be always. I always say always. Always.
I can understand that as a way of emphasizing a point, always. Okay.
Any word that you use most of the time is probably my favorite word. Like, and I don't like, but I always say That's not a word, but I know it's like a sentence.
It's mine one is amazing. I overuse the word amazing. I don't know if that makes it my favorite word
Oh,
or
that one. Jimmy, my interview coach told me I said
yeah.
that, and I stopped saying it because of him.
Yeah, no, I have to catch myself every time I say it. It's like you're saying that word again. Question 2, what is your least favorite word?
Pimple. I think it just sounds gross.
Oh, you just reminded me of that horrible show. I think it's a show, Dr. Pimple Popper.
I love that show. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh no, you can't watch that, surely.
It's funny because I work at a med spa, and every time we get clients
Oh.
in, I'm like, if you have a pimple to pop, please tell me if I can record that because I will. And I'm not the only one though who likes pimple popping videos.
Oh.
Hey, but some of those are like cysts, like huge. But
I'm not hungry anymore.
no more tacos.
I think I'd rather watch The Real Housewives than watch Dr. Pimple Popper. It's marginal. I might have to try an episode of both to see which is worse. Question 3. In life, what gets you excited? What turns you on?
Well, what gets me excited is knowing that I have an extra 24 hours to utilize and do as much as I can. Or if I need a rest, then I'll rest and take that day off. But I think just knowing that there's time and it's whatever I choose to do with it, that gets me going.
Nice. So that's what turns you on, and then what turns you off?
Repeating myself.
Does that happen often?
Yes and no. I don't know why. It's like a weird thing. It's because I feel like throughout my whole life, a lot of people have asked me what my name is, like over and over again. And I think just repeating it got a little bit annoying to me, especially when I have substitutes in class. I'd be like, every period I had to go in and to the point where my friends would do it for me. Like they would know I won't answer. And not that I won't answer, I won't be rude about it, but they would answer for me and they would get pissed because it's like, because I get asked all the time. So I think
well, how do most people pronounce it? If they don't know, I would imagine that they're going to say something like Maelia Salcines.
Maelia, I've heard. What do they call me? Maelia is like the number one. Maelia. So sometimes I don't even correct
them. That's sick and tired of it. Just call me whatever you want.
Yeah, that's why I when I meet people, I'm like May. But sometimes I say my real name.
Right. I mean, if you come to Australia, you're going to get an Australian nickname, and I can promise you it's not going to be anything like that. Looking at your name, it'd probably be Salco. You'd be Salco or something like that. Us Aussies, everyone gets a nickname ending in O. So it's like, for example, we call it McDonald's Maccas. We call a service station a servo. So everyone gets a one-syllable nickname. So, or a simplified nickname.
Cool.
It's because us Aussies,
dude.
Dude. Yeah. No, dude, buddy, we don't use those words. We use mate. G'day, mate. Mind you, I don't say that very often.
Yeah.
Do you know anything about Australia? Just out of interest, I always like to ask Americans what they understand about Australia. Koalas, yes.
And that you are in the southern hemisphere, so our winters and summers are switched, but that's it.
Do you know that you can eat kangaroos? We eat kangaroos. Kangaroos here are a pest.
I guess
so you can eat
that because I eat like chicken and cows, but that sounds so bad. But I mean, I can see that.
When you're over here, you'll have to try kangabangers.
Kangabang? Okay.
Do you know what kangabangers are?
Is it a leg? I'm like, is it a leg? I don't know.
No. Bangers are sausages, so it's kangaroo sausages.
Ooh. I really like deer sausage or deer.
It's like venison.
Deer jerky.
Yep.
Ooh, so good.
Yep, you can get that now. It's very like venison. It's a lean protein, so you need to have some fat with it. I don't know how we got onto that. Let's move on. Question 5: what sound or noise do you love?
Rain on just on a roof or even like a metal thing. Just the sound of rain.
And what sound or noise do you hate?
My dog's barking. I only say that because it's not like they bark once or twice. It's like it continues for like 5 minutes. I have a Chihuahua and a Yorkie, so yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, but if it were to be a noise that really, 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 really bothers me, it would probably be like a woodpecker that comes on my window every morning.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah, I'm like, really? No, but they're
telling you to wake up.
Yeah, they're barking though. It gets to the point where you just want to scream. And I'm like,
well, can I just? The world thanks you for stopping your dog from barking, because I have neighbors who used to have not one dog but 2 dogs, because their thought was we're not going to be able to walk them, so they'll keep each other company. And instead, I was trying to do things like this and had 2 dogs barking over there rather than 1.
See, and this is where it gets complicated. So when I'm doing stuff like this, like I can't have them around, so I'm in my room right now. So that's why I said it's kind of annoying, because it's like it's like people don't mind. They really don't mind when there's a dog barking in the back. But I'm like, hey, I'm trying to focus.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Okay. Question 7. If you could have any one superpower, what would you pick and why?
Telepathy. So I could get to one place real quick and not waste any time.
No time flying, just click and you're there.
Just like a little, and I'm there.
Question 8. What job or occupation other than your own would you most like to attempt?
Motivational speaker.
I can see that.
That would be great. I would love to be on TED Talks. That fun stuff. To me, it's fun.
Oh, no, absolutely. I think that's an amazing goal. I think with the books that you're doing and the non-for-profit, definitely go for it.
Hopefully, that would be the goal of mine, though, is at least to be in one. I'm fine.
There's a lot of famous big names who've made it to that stage.
Yes.
So that's going for your dreams. Question 9. What job would you definitely not like to attempt?
Oh, that's hard. I would say a skydiving instructor. I don't know. I've never gone skydiving, but the fear of falling, heights don't freak me out. It's the fear of falling.
That's what I say.
And I wouldn't cross skydiving out of my bucket list, but it's still a fear of mine. I'll still do it, but I don't think I could do it over and over again.
But the worst part about I've skydived twice. The worst part, if you are anxious about it, is not the jumping out, because that's over very quickly. You get kicked out. They do that on purpose, because otherwise. So what happens is they say we're going on 3, and they always kick you out on 2, because if they kick you out on 3, you will grab the door frame and then they can't get you out. So like, we're going on 3, okay, and they, okay, 1. Bang, on 2. That's exactly what someone else is taking notes, so they know. I hope I haven't ruined that for them. But it's the flight going up because you're in a plane. It's a small plane, and the door is open. Like normally when you fly, the door is closed, but the door's right open there, and there's people will hang their legs out like the instructors. I mean, mind you, they do have their parachutes on, but to them, it's like dangling their legs off the side of a boat.
True. Or a helicopter. I guess the helicopter's kind of the same.
Yeah.
But
I mean, to me, I wouldn't.
Fly, though, I think. No, but I don't know. My dog's at the door. I just heard her.
I can't hear anything.
I heard her cry. So if you hear something, it's her. No. So yeah, I would not want to be a skydiver. I want to go at least once and see if I like it. But imagine having to do that over and over again. I mean, it must be fun at that point. Like,
you hope so.
I know. I hope. But yeah, I think the going up is where you're like the most.
I mean, the instructor that I went with was doing like 6 or 7 dives a day. So they'd gotten up to like thousands of dives. So, yeah. I think they still find it exciting, though. You never get quite over that adrenaline. Okay, final question.
So that would be great.
Well, there you go. Got to give it a go. Final question. If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
I just want him to tell me that my family is waiting for me, honestly, and my pets. I would love him telling me that, because that would be that's the first thing I would look for.
Perfect. Okay. Well, Maelia, let's call it there. Thank you so much for your time.
All right, thank you so much. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was. And I love the talk about mental health because it's a very, very important issue. So best of luck, not only for the pageant, but the book series and your work with Mental Monarchs. I'll be watching with great interest. Thanks to everyone for watching as well. I'll just keep you on the line for a sec whilst I hang up with the audience, so don't hang up on me just yet. Thanks to everyone for watching live or on the replay, and we will speak to you next time. Bye for now. Thanks for watching. Just a reminder to you entrepreneurial types to come and join us at our Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/the pageant boss. I'll see you inside and see you in the next episode.